several projects. So from a very young age, my mentality was to survive. No matter by any means, I had to survive and things like that. So my thing was from petty theft to, robberies and gun possessions and things like that. And to my understanding, at that time I was young, so I thought it was just like, just surviving to get through things and things like that. But, at the same time I was violating the law. Me being ignorant at that time, I didn't really care about the law. So my thing was, I'm in the right when I was doing at that time, But that's how, I got to find like that.
And so at that time, what do you feel like your society could have done to help young people like you in that same situation that I'm sure that many of, people from your neighborhood probably felt that same pressure growing up?
Well, as of now, this is how I thought about it. This is how I think about it. At that time, they had programs out there to help youth and things like that. And they also had a lot of parents and older people that was helping the youth at the time I was growing up. But also, I grew up in the crack era. When the crack era first hit New York City, when people were smoking it as a recreational drug, and it became a drug that was really like breaking families up, separating families, and everything came with it. Everything negative came with it. So, like I said, it was people that was out there to try to help us, but I think that right there is what caused the deterioration between my generation and the generation above me. So therefore, at that time, old people tried to do what they could do at that time by talking to us. A lot of us was taken to boxing programs and things like that at that time. But a lot of our trainers became crackheads also.
Yeah.
So it was like we looked up to him, like he was growing up with things that he became a crackhead, so we tried, not have respect for him.
Right.
And we like basically on our own. We grew up by ourselves and things like that. So like in today's time, it takes for those that are older to reconnect with the younger generation. A lot of us can't relate to the younger generation because a lot of us don't understand and speak the language of the younger generation. We still come at them as if, we talking to our peers and things like that. But you gotta understand, those that are younger than us, they're not our peers.
Exactly.
It's the way you have to talk to them, the way you have to relate to them and things like that. And the only way you can relate to them is by being around them. You know what I'm saying? They don't want to hear you talking some, positive things to them and things like that. And you ain't go through the same struggle they went through. You know what I'm saying? They're not understanding. You talk a whole different language. Someone that be like me, that went through the struggle, that went through the same thing they went through, they listen to me before they listen to Al Sharpton or somebody.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? So that's what I think it is. I think it's us, the OGs, things like that, all those that's older, overseas OGs and things like that, those that's doing something for themselves, those that have a positive mindset, those that can relate to the youth. I think we are the ones that need to step up and start talking to these youth and things like that and leading them in the right direction.
Right. Okay, with that being said, can you kind of guide me through the experience that you had that led you up to your first experience with jail?
What led me into prison?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I'm going to tell you about the last two incidents because those are the longest times I had done in prison. Those are the times that I missed most of my youth and things like that. I was convicted in 1994 of armed robbery, gun possessions, and I wound up doing 8.5 years out of a 13-year to life bid. And at that time I was 18, and I came home when I was 27. So, excuse me, I came home when I was 26. Then I came home on March 22nd, 2002. Only lasted 6 months, and that was all the way to September 22nd, 2002. And I went back, for 16 years.
Wow.
Right behind that. So it was like I really never came home. 6 months ain't no time coming home with what's name. So I did like basically 8.5 and 16 years back to back.
Can you tell me a little bit about that experience? What it was like being in jail, physically, mentally, spiritually, all the totality of it?
It was stressful, It was stressful to a point, and but I was so used as a youth of going away to juvenile detentions and juvenile facilities and getting locked up when I was on Rikers Island and things like that. So going back and forth to me going back and forth to prison or to jail and things like that became part of my life.
Right.
came natural to me, you know. So I wasn't scared to go to prison no more. I wasn't even worried about going to prison no more. I get locked up, like, I'm going back to prison, you know, so I'm gonna live good in there, things like that. I got my weight up, so everybody gonna respect me anyway. I'm gonna live like a Don and a king in prison, things like that, you know. But it didn't really start till I started getting older to start realizing, like, yo, I was lost by my teens, my 20s, I lost all my 30s in prison. I have no kids, you know, so I've never been married and things like that. And I never really had a real job, you know, and I lost life. You know, you got young guys come to prison after me, they tell me what's going on in society and things like that, and they got me lost. I don't know what's going on. They talk about the new internet world, things like that. I'm like, what the hell is that? You know what I'm saying? iPhones. I don't know nothing about that. You know, so that messed me up for a while. You know, I got to get out. I got to experience that. You know, and I started coming to my senses in prison. You know, but at the same time, there was so much stress also that I was going through anxiety attacks. And at the time, I wasn't even familiar with what anxiety was at that time, you know. And, you know, I'd sit in my room at times and I'd go through panic attacks and heart beating fast and sweating. And this was going on for a few years, but I never knew what it was. And one day, you know, I had caught a infraction in prison. You know, it's called a ticket when you do something violating the law or prison rules and things like that. And that psychiatrist come see me, a psych, and talked to me for like 2 hours, and they diagnosed me with anxiety, things like that. And before I explained to the person my feelings, what I was going through, you know, saying during these periods, the person explained it to me already. So when the person explained it to me already, I already knew that person knew what he was talking about. You know, I said, wow, I'm going through the same experience that what you're talking about. I go through the experience, you know, the same feeling, the withdrawal, things like that. Then I also got diagnosed with PTS, post-traumatic stress, you know. Got diagnosed with that once I came home from prison, you know. And everything started coming to reality about me being, having these type of mental illnesses. You know, because I do dwell back on things that happened to me years when I was younger, when I was a child, when I was a kid, and things like that. And to this day, I still feel like I gotta get back at the person that did this to me, or the people that did this to me, and things like that. When I think back on things that happened to me, I get angry, I get frustrated, I get upset, I feel like I have to get even. You know what I'm saying? Even to this day, it's like I had to 20, 30 years ago, I still think like that. Like if I see this person, you know what I'm saying, it's gonna be on, it's gonna be drama, things like that. You know? But I ran into a few people that I felt like that before, and I ran into them, things like that. And when I saw them, you know, I calmed down, I relaxed and things like that, because I knew and understand that I am dealing with mental illness. Yeah. I don't take medication for it or anything like that. You know, some people may need medication for it, and I'm not a big advocate for medication. You know, I think there's other remedies and ways that, you know, a person can deal with their anxiety, their PTS, you know, without using medication. But I think I'm handling it very well and things like that. But me being in prison and my life experience and things like that led me being diagnosed with mental illnesses.
Okay, so now that you were in prison, you got diagnosed with the anxiety and PTS. What other struggles were you dealing with while being in prison on top of the mental health issues?
The struggles I was dealing with there was basically my attitude. That was just dealing with it, of course. I was a hothead. Every issue that I thought was a violation of who I was, things like that, you know, caused me to hurt a lot of people while I was in prison. And as I say, as the years go by, things like that, I realized it was part of the mental illness that I was going through, things like that. Also, relationship issues. You know, I went to prison, had a girlfriend, things like that. And, you know, in the beginning they talk about they're gonna ride or die with you and things like that, but you know, she left me after like 6 years, my first 6 years in prison. And that took a big toll on me and things like that. But you know, at the moment, you know, I'm really upset. I'm going through what I'm going through. So anytime I get into a problem with somebody, I feel like I had to hurt that person, things like that. But you know, I'm going through my personal issues and I'm taking out other people.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Which is wrong at the time, things like that. That's why I spent so much time in solitary confinement. I got almost like 5 years, a little over 5 years since I was in 16. Yeah, I spent about a little over 5.5 years total in solitary confinement. You know what I'm saying? Out of my 16 years in confinement, things like that. But the other thing I learned is that people, because I'm in prison, you know, people's life that's in the streets. You know what I'm saying? Their life don't stop for me. Their life is not gonna stop for me. You know what I'm saying? My life stopped as far as me being in free society, but their life don't have to stop. And I, you know, initially I didn't really agree with it. Like, you know, like people left me for dead while I was in prison, things like that. And I still feel like that. You know, I still feel like people left me for dead while I was in prison, things like that, because I've done a lot of people good. You know. But like I said, those are issues that I had to deal with while I was in prison. And as I got older, started enjoying things like that, started realizing things like that. Like, I got to start working on my life. You know, my life is more important than anybody else's life and things like that. And I had to forgive everybody that I felt did me wrong. You know, and I forgave a lot of people also. I know a lot of people that had mental illnesses in prison that was getting medication. I'm not a doctor or anything like that, but certain things that people don't need a medication for, and the medications make these people worse.
Yeah.
You know, as they take these medication, things like that, because after me getting diagnosed with these issues, it didn't make me worse, it made me better. I don't take medication.
Right.
I deal with my own issues, you know, so I didn't take medication, things like that. And I think I'm being more successful with my, you know, say recovery than people that take a medication.
Right.
So that's the first thing they do in prison. If you get diagnosed with something, first thing they offer you is medication. That's the first thing they offer you, medication. I can see somebody that's in shape just like me right now, and we got the same issues, and I'm like, no, I'm not taking medication. He's like, I'm taking medication. 6 months later, this guy his stomach is blown up, he's slow, words are slurring, and this is happening to, I'm gonna give you a number. I don't know if it's even this small, but I would say over 15%, 20% of the population in prison is taking type of medication for mental illness.
Wow.
The prisons that I went in, the line was longer than the mess hall line, the child line.
Wow.
The medication line was longer than the child line. And that's surprising me. I'm looking at these guys like, wait a minute, like, wow, like you on medication? Like, you can't be on medication. Right. Then 3, 4 months later, I see him, he look like he can't hardly move, he's walking slow, things like that. I'm like, really, people telling us that, you know, they're working on, you know, the prison system telling us they're working on mental illness in prison, things like that. But they ain't telling society.
Right.
Not telling society that, yeah, they help with medication. I mean, they help with the mental illness by giving these guys medication. They're pumping up medication and slowing them up. So therefore, when they do get into free society, you know, these gonna be the same people that commit these same crimes again.
Right. And
they gonna get blamed for, you know, these career criminals and things like that. But you give these guys medication, and you're even making them worse than who they are, than what they were before. You know, because you're misdiagnosing them.
Exactly.
You know, you got little kids going to school getting Ritalin because they're hyperactive. Things like that. Kids don't need no Ritalin at the age of 7 to 8, 9 years old because they're hyperactive. They kids.
Exactly.
They're supposed to be hyperactive.
Exactly.
You know, but they go, but the kids grow up. You know, they get 13, 14 years old, and you wonder why they go around here shooting schools up and things like that. And most of the kids that shoot these schools up or go to school, commit crimes, murders, things like that, they're the kids that's on medication.
Okay, can you tell me a little bit about the first things that you did when you were released into society, and what was your experience like adjusting?
Well, the first day I came out of prison was July 2nd, 2018. You know what I'm saying? That's only what, 10 months ago? Yeah, that's only 10 months ago. You know, I did 16 years on that. And first thing I did though, July 2nd, I came home and look for work. The first thing I did. And by July 5th, I was working. 3 days later, I was working, you know, working for a moving company. And pretty decent money, you know, I was making like $200 a day, you know, but I still came home on a prison mentality, of course. That's the first job I had. I was making $200 a day. And it was an incident that happened on the job to where we loading the elevator up with bad furniture, and one guy trying to put a table on the elevator while I'm already on the elevator with the other furniture with the table, with a table on top. Try to push the sofa onto the elevator. I tell him, yo, homie, it's not gonna fit. You're gonna break the table. He said, I've been doing it for 10 years, you know, I'm working for 10 years, I know what I'm doing, don't worry about it. People drink, you ain't gotta worry about it, so you know, me just working there for a few days, I'm like, alright.
Right.
You know how this go there, you know? Put the table on there, put the chair on there, and put the table in. Me, I gotta take the furniture upstairs. I take the furniture upstairs, get to the floor, elevator open, my boss standing there. first thing he see, after he take a so forth, what's the name, that the table leg is broke. He asked me, yo, what's up with this table leg? What happened to the table leg? I'm like, yo, it broke. So I'm trying to walk past him so he won't ask me more questions, but he stopped me like, all right, explain to me how it broke. I'm like, it's broke, man. I don't know how it broke, you know what I'm saying? I know it was on the elevator, it broke, things like that. Yeah, he said, yo, come on, man, like, who broke it, man? Did you break it? I said, listen, I didn't break it, man. You know what I'm saying? Things like that. I said, I'm not the only one that stacked the elevator up. You guys, whoever you want to ask, but I didn't do it. So he's like, listen, guy, this is not prison, man. You can tell me who it is, you know what I'm saying? Things like that. But when he said that, I didn't catch on what he was saying. You know? But he kept saying, this is not prison, man. This is a workers' right. You tell me who did it. I'm not going to fight it, guy. You know what I'm saying? I just want to talk to the guy so the guy can be more careful next time. Me, still with the prison, you know, code. He's like, nah, you know, whatever happens, happens, you know, so I'm not telling you who did it. He said, all right, I told you after work, you know. So after work was done, he came, gave me my money, $200. He gave me $40 tip that the people gave us. He said, this is your last time getting paid because you come here and think this is a prison. And you got to go by prison rule, think that on a site that's working, that is snitching. It's not snitching. It's a work environment. So at the time, I got my money, I left, you know, said my little words under my breath, you know, I ain't was there doing what's today. I still try to be respectful. But after I got on the train going back home, I thought about it. I said, yo, this guy's right, you know what I'm saying? It's not prison. It is a work environment. And I had to think differently about these things. And most of my life I was in prison. So that's what I know. I know prison rules. I know prison more than I know about free society. You know, I know about getting up in the morning at a certain time. I know about count time. I know about this, I know about that, but anything I know is related to prison because I've been in prison so long in my life. Most of my life is that this prison mentality is not going to get out of me just like that. It's going to take years for it to get out of me. You know, I still take showers sometimes, my slippers on, my underwear. You know, being in prison all them years, you know, you got to take showers, many things like that. One thing I can say, I never messed with no men while I was in prison. So yeah, that never happened. That never happened. You know what I'm saying? But you know what I'm saying?
Just like, put that out there.
Yeah, I gotta put that out there because you know the misconception that guys go to prison that everybody gonna mess with men and things like that. They come home and things like that. And I'm tired of females asking me that. You for 16 years and you mess with a man and things like that. I respect if female ask me that because they're supposed to ask you that. You know what I'm saying? But it still bothers me though. Because they got the misconception that everybody does that, which is not. There's only a small circle that does that in prison. Very small circle. You know what I'm saying? But on TV or on the news,
they show it as all
they show it as if it's like a regular thing in prison.
Yep.
It's not. I never saw somebody get raped. I never saw none of that stuff. You know what I'm saying? They show it on TV like it happens regularly. I never saw somebody get raped. Never saw it. Somebody getting whatever they're doing sexually, things like that. It's willingly in prison. It's willingly. Nobody get raped in prison no more. Probably happened in the 60s, 70s, things as far as born and things like that. But when I was in prison, I never saw somebody get raped. Not say that don't happen. I'm not saying that don't happen. But if it does, it happens with very low skills. That's how it is on TV and things like that.
Can you tell me a little bit about the steps that you take personally to help alleviate the mental health, like the anxiety when it comes on and when you feel it come on?
When I feel it come on, I go to my little episodes. I don't want to be bothered for at least 15, 20 minutes, 30 minutes. Leave me alone. You know what I mean? If you do interrupt me, I'm not going to spaz you or anything like that. You know, just let me be myself at peace. You know, but what I do after I come out of it, you know, I call somebody up that I can talk to. And I'm gonna tell you one of the best remedies to do. When you go into situations like that, you go into stress situations, and you have nobody to talk to, or you have nobody to call at that time. Some people might be busy at that time. Go outside, walk the street, and stop a stranger. You know what I'm saying? And ask a stranger, you talk to her for a minute, or her for a minute, things like that, and go to situations. You'd be surprised how many people sit there and talk to you and give you the right information, or the proper information, things like that. When your friends, you talk to your friends about your mental health situation, things like that, they're gonna tell you what you want to hear most of the times. Yo, you be all right, bro. You know what I'm saying? Blah, blah, just do this, things like that. You walk up with a stranger, you know, and you go start a conversation up, you tell them what you're going through, things like that. That person is not as rush or anything like that. You sit down and listen to what you have to say. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of times they give you real information on how they really feel about it from the heart, because they don't know you. They ain't got no reason to lie to you or things like that. You know, they don't need to make you feel better, things like that. Although they might try to make you feel better as far as, you know what I'm saying, if you're not going to commit suicide and things like that. But they sit there and listen to you. You'd be surprised. A lot of people don't do it because they're like, oh, I don't know that person. I don't want that person to know my my business, things like that. But the thing is, you got mental illness, it becomes a society issue.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? It's not just a personal issue no more. It becomes a society issue because you're dealing with society. You know what I'm saying? So you people you're gonna be around. You know, so you go to restaurants, music parks, and things like that. You gotta be around these people. You know what I'm saying? So talk to these people. It might be strangers to you, you know what I'm saying? But you talk to this person, the person might become your best friend. It might give you the best advice that you ever heard in your life.
What advice or words of wisdom would you give to young people that are trying to get into the life of crime today?
This is the word I would give you like this. Like, listen to older people that can relate to you. Don't listen to the older people that you can't relate to. There's a lot of old people, a lot of older people in your neighborhood that you can relate to that can speak your own language. I say speak your own language, meaning that you can come to me, you can talk to me about anything, you know what I'm saying, that's dealing with your population, you know what I'm saying, your pop culture, anything like that. And I can relate to you on that issue. I can talk to you on that issue because, you know what I'm saying, I'm staying in tune with the streets. You know what I'm saying? Because my thing is I'm in the streets and I know that y'all are younger, so therefore, there's gonna be times you'll have issues that you'll be somebody to talk to that's older. I can relate to you, I can talk your language, you know? And what it need to do is stop being scared to talk to older people. You know, have trust in some older people. You know, get to know older people, things like that. Older people that have been through the same struggle that you're going through right now. Talk to them. Don't be afraid to tell them your issues and things like that, but they will help you. You know what I'm saying? Anybody that can't help you, but a lot of you guys young are afraid to go to older people and talk about their issues because they are afraid how they're gonna be looked at and things like that. And a lot of guys are going through issues that's young. They would tell their homies, their homeboys, or their homegirls and things like that, the issues that they're going through. They're not telling them the whole issue that they're going through.
Right.
Because they don't want their parents to look at them like they,
Right.
you know what I'm saying, as if they're weak or they crazy and shit like that, you know what I'm saying? But their parents, they're going through something, but they tell them like, oh yeah, you're going through this stress like that. But they're not telling your parents how you say it? The severity of it.
Right.
Yeah, they're not telling you the severity of it.
Right.
You know, so your friends not taking it serious as those say you got a mental illness, stuff like that. You know? And like I said, don't think that because you got a mental illness, you got to take medication. You don't have to take medication because you got a mental illness. I'm not saying don't take medication. I'm just saying that you don't have to take medication for every type of mental illness that you have. You don't have to take it. But the younger people need to come talk to like a lot of older guys, man, or a lot of older women and things like that. And sit down and talk to us, man, because we got a lot to give y'all, man. We got a lot of jewelry to talk to y'all about, things like that. Like I went through struggles and things like that. I went through the same thing you're going through. I went through the streets. I shot guns. I did this. I robbed. I sold drugs. I did everything that you did, homie. You know what I'm saying? So if you come to me, you talk to me that street shit, things like that, you try to get stress in your mind, I'm gonna listen to you. I'm gonna listen to you. I'm gonna give you good advice, man. You know what I'm saying? I'm not gonna give you advice that Al Sharpton would give you, something like that. I'm not gonna give you that type of advice because he wasn't in the street. Although he got locked up in the 70s or something to do with drugs and things like that, but that dude's a reverend and things like that. He's doing what he's doing, things like that. I respect what he's doing because he's out there for the people. I like Al Sharpton. Don't think I don't like Al Sharpton. I do like Al Sharpton. You know what I'm saying? But he appeals to a certain crowd. So when he do come to the youth, things like that, and you see that the youth not coming through for him, things like that, now listen to what he's saying, because he can't relate to the youth. He has different crowd that he can relate to. I can relate to the youth. And then people like me go out there and speak to the youth, things like that. That's what he is.
Okay, so now that you are out of prison, you've been out of prison for a little while now, what are some of the dreams and the aspirations that you have going forward with your life?
Well, my aspiration right now is to get my own business. I like art. You know, I'm not an artist. I don't know how to draw things like that, but I have vision. And once I get enough money together, I want to open an art dealership. I want to open a museum. I want to do a lot of things doing with art. I know there's a lot of people in our neighborhood that have talent. And the talent's not getting out there. I look on television, and I see these artworks that they get sold on television, and these people, I'm looking at these arts like, wait a minute, like, I know a little black baby this right around the corner does the same art like that. This little Dominican baby over here does the same artwork like that. It's beautiful. You know what I'm saying? I know a Dominican lady right now, she does some artwork and it's beautiful and things like that. And I asked her why she don't do nothing with it. And she said because nobody really interested in it. You know? I said, well, you got your things on the internet and things like that. And she said, yeah, but I have sport farmer and things like that. And, you know, she just ain't got the motivation because people's not showing interest in her artwork. Her artwork is just as good as anybody else that's selling artwork for $15,000, $20,000. Just as good. You know, the people's not getting out there like that. And I ain't looked too much into it, but I don't see people of color that's into the art world appealing to black youth.
Right.
I don't see it. Not saying it's not happening. I don't see it, you know, and we got artists in our neighborhood that need to get out there and spoken about. So that's my aspiration right now, to get art out there. There's a lot of art, things like that. Art, not just drawing, not just painting, arts and crafts, everything. People's very talented, you know, and we need to support that, you know, all people of color need to support that. You know, of course, I don't want to get a white issue or a person of color issue, things like that, but white people support art. They support art, hardcore. They support it, we don't do it. You know what I'm saying? Art is beautiful. You know, art is expression. Why not support it? You know, why not?
Being that you've been inside of the prison system for so long and you've seen the other side of it that society hasn't seen, what are some of the changes that you would like to see going forward in the justice system? In the treatment
I would like for the justice system to allow ex-felons, ex-cons, things like that, back into the prison system and talk to these youths without having to wait 4, 5, or 6 years until you get your record clean and you be able to come back to the prison system and talk to these youths. Like, I'm quite sure that I just got released from prison 10 months ago. If I was going to prison right now, prisons that I just came from 10 months ago, I would have everybody here in that prison yard. I would have everybody in that prison yard because I'm just freshly home and they see the success that I'm going through right now. I'm still going through a growth process, but you know what I'm saying? But I think I'm successful as far as I come home 10 months ago and where I'm at now. I think I'm successful. You know, I'm become more successful. You know what I'm saying? But I think I'm successful with where I got from. Where I got at that. You know what I'm saying? But my thing is, we need more people that can come through the prison system and give people hope.
Yeah.
Like, see this, like, yo, this guy did 16 years, came on July 2nd, July 5th. He was off and running. You know what I'm saying? That's 72 hours later, he was off and running. You know what I'm saying? Look where he at. And a lot of people in prisons not seeing that because you got guys that do come, that was ex-cons that do go back to the prison system and volunteer they work for the prison system. But they've been out 10, 15 years and they still going to the prison system talking to these guys. And you talk about what happened 15, 20 years ago. This is a whole different era, homie.
Right.
You can't talk to the youth
Right.
what you did 20, 30 years ago,
Exactly.
and you can't relate to them with that language, homie. You gotta relate to them what's going on right now, this present time. You know, and that's the problem. Like, you just can't get people, oh, I got an organization, I'm gonna get in prison. I'm gonna say to the youth. That's what they're doing. They get all these organizations that just got an organization. It's just a name. Oh, you talk to you? How you come to prison? You gonna speak to these people? No, it gotta be a vetting process. Like, how long you was in prison? Where you was at in prison? You know what I'm saying? What programs do you think you could, what can you help us with and things like that? Establish something where you can come in where they can be effective. You know what I'm saying? Not just saying that, oh, we have youth programs in prison, you know, in New York State prison, we allow these groups to come in and things like that, and these groups are not effective. It's not helping. It's not doing nothing. Because y'all just let these guys in there that, like I said, been away from prison 20, 30 years coming in. Homie, don't come at me, it's 2019, I'm in prison, you know what I'm saying? I got 50 to life, and you coming in telling me what happened in the 1970s and 1960s in prison. I don't want to hear that shit. I don't want to hear that. Talk to me about what's going on right now that can better me right now. You know what I'm saying? Oh, all right, you know this law right here? Well, I'm going to get to a law library. I want to get home. I got 50 years of life. I want to get home in the next 2 years. Right. Can you help me with that? You know what I'm saying? I don't want to hear about, yeah, well, in 1970s, you know, we did that. We had the youth movement here. You know, we moved forward there. But yeah, that youth movement in the 1970s not even there no more.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? So it didn't work. But I don't want to hear about that. Right. You know what I'm saying? Tell me about something that works. You know, and that's what we need. We need more people that can be more effective, things like that, that know about the streets, that know about the prison system, to go back in the prison system and save these youth. Or save as many as they can. All of them ain't gonna listen. Everybody ain't gonna listen. You know, if I got a population of 2,000, and I get 100 people out of that 2,000 listen to me, or 200 people out of that 2,000 population listen to me, at least listen to me for a little bit, take some of my words and go with it. You know, that's what, 10% of the population? I think that's successful. I think that's a successful rate, things like that, and we can do it. But do I think the system want us to do it? I'm not sure. I'm not gonna say no. I'm not gonna say yeah, because there are people in the system that are all for it, but they got, you know, powers that be blocks them from doing it. and things like that. So all people within government that's trying to do something about it, but y'all can work better at it, much better at it. And y'all slow, y'all very slow. So the first thing y'all need to do is work on this mental health issue and why all these people in prison is getting medicated. Why? Why is it so high that people get medicated in prison? It's a high rate. We get medication in prison. It's a high rate, and majority don't need the medication. Don't need it. I go to prison today, I'm on medication tomorrow. All that I gotta say, I'm going through some stress. I'm on Ritalin or Thorazine or something like that. 3 months later, I'm looking like I'm zombied out. Like I recognize me 90 days from now, I have to take medication. That's how bad it gets.